do people do this? This year, I read a lot more books than I have in previous years. I set a small goal of 5, because the only time I really read was when it was an assignment for school, and I always enjoyed those assignments, but I didn't really read outside of school that much. And when I picked up a book at the bookstore, it was generally the same genre, YA, thriller, horror, romancy kind of book. So when I thought about it at the beginning of this year, I was like, do I even like reading? So I set the goal low at 5 books, just in case it did not turn out well. But so far we're going strong. I've read about 12 books this year so far. 12 books isn't a lot, but yes, I set a quantitative goal, but my goal isn't the quantity of books. My goal is to be more well-read, actually enjoy the process of reading, and to obviously expand my knowledge when it comes to reading. But I just wanted to go through and document the books that I have read this year. I don't really want to review them. I don't really feel qualified to review books. But I did want to list off the titles. First book I read this year was A Walk in the Woods by Bill Bryson. And I was also reading Reinventing the Body, Resurrecting the Soul. This was the first self-help book I've ever read. Not very life-changing, but it was an interesting perspective to read. And then I jumped right in to Atlas Shrugged by Ayn Rand. This book, the largest book I've ever read, took me 3 months to read. June to September I was reading this book, and that was reading about 30 minutes every day. It took me three months to finish this book. Around that time, I also read another self-help book. So this year I read 2 self-help books. Again, not very life-changing. This one is like bulleted lists. So, and then after Atlas Shrugged, believe it or not, I wasn't done reading Ayn Rand. I wasn't over the story yet. Didn't really want to move on. So I picked up Fountainhead, which is another Ayn Rand book. This one took me September to November. And then, for a very change of pace, I picked up a nonfiction, Flu by Pina Colada. Was Flu by Gina Colada. This was about the 1918 flu outbreak, and this has been sitting on my bookshelf for a while, and I looked at it and thought, that's interesting. It's about a virus outbreak. Maybe I should read that. What I got from this book mainly was that the world has not changed. Then The Sailor Who Fell from Grace with the Sea by Yukio Mishima. The Picture of Dorian Gray by Oscar Wilde. This book felt like something you would read in an English class in high school. That's not a diss. It was good. And then I wanted something really light, because I was feeling a bit demotivated at this time to read. So I picked up Alice in Wonderland by Lewis Carroll, or Carroll. I didn't know how much of a children's book this was. Also the first ever nonsensical book that I've read. Incredibly nonsensical. Like, it's an easy read, and I read it in a couple days. In comparison with, like, literally all the other books I read this year, very different. And it's good for a light, fun read, but that's pretty much it. At this point, I've read the first 2 books, and I anticipate to read the 3rd book, but I have not read it yet. I also have read, I don't have the copy of the book with me, I also read The Teachings of Don Juan, which was a book about hallucinogenics. It was the first book about, I had a lot of firsts this year. Not one of my favorites I read this year, but those are all the books that I've read this year so far. Okay, I feel like I should stop this, because I don't really know what else to say. I want to get into the stats of this year. I don't have very many stats because I didn't even read that many books. You know what I'm realizing after I filmed and was saying the whole time I've read 12 books this year? That's not even true. I was not counting 1984, which I also read, which was a reread, and so if you count Alice in Wonderland as the 2 books, which it technically is 2 books, then that's 2 more right there. So I've actually read 15 books this year. Not much of a difference, but like, I forgot 1984, and I forgot that Alice in Wonderland was 2 books instead of 1. So that makes it 15 books and not 12. The last time I recorded anything was December 9th. And I said I read 15 books? I don't remember. I said I read a number of books. Since then, it is now December 21st, and I have read 3 more books. The Alchemist, The Little Prince, and just today I finished Animal Farm. So I have read 3 more books, and I don't know what I'm gonna read next, and if I'm going to finish it in time before December. So this might be the last 3 to add to my list. So while I'm working out all of the math and like trying to photograph all these books and stuff, I realized I did read another thing. I read a short story by Stephen King, but I didn't even read it with my eyeballs. I listened to the audiobook, and it was a short story. So like, do I count that? I still don't know if I should count these Audible things. Sorry, there's a cat outside. That's not my cat. She's gone. That was weird. Anyway, but I did listen to a Stephen King short story. For the record, I'm going to include it.